Hello and welcome everyone, Lahart here, and today I'm pitting the new titan of graphics cards, the MSI RTX 2080Ti Gaming X Trio, against the Total War benchmarks. Big thanks to MSI for sending the 2080Ti over to me to have a play with. No, I didn't get to keep it, I only actually had it for a few days last week, so I focused on throwing the 2080Ti at as many Total War benchmarks as possible to see if it really is the new king of GPUs. I tested the card out on Rome 2, ATTILA, Thrones of Britannia, and Warhammer 2, Total War game-wise, but I also threw in some benchmarks for Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed Odyssey to see how the card performed outside Total War games. Now obviously none of these games are ray tracing enabled. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is still expecting a post-launch patch to add it in at some point though, so I'll not be focusing on that in this video. My focus for this video is to test the raw power of the card itself, and I'll be running comparison benchmarks with my own MSI GTX 1080 Ti to compare to the 2080 Ti in all the games that I'm benchmarking. That way we can all clearly see what sort of performance increase the 2080 Ti offers over the previous gen's flagship card, the 1080 Ti. Before we jump into the benchmarks, let's have a brief look at the MSI RTX 2080 Ti Gaming X Trio itself. Firstly, this is a massive graphics card at 327mm in length, so if you're thinking about picking up this card, make sure you measure your case first. Thankfully, my Cooler Master Master Case 5T is massive, so I had no issue fitting the card in myself. As the name suggests, the Trio features a triple fan cooler utilising MSI's Tri-Frozer thermal design. Using a combination of MSI's award-winning Torx 3.0 fans, redesigned and concentrated heat pipes, a large copper baseplate and premium thermal compound, MSI have ensured that temperatures stay as low as possible while reducing noise from the card as well. By default, the 2080 Ti Trio runs on MSI's Zero Frozer fan curve, which doesn't start the fans spinning until the card reaches 60 degrees Celsius. You can of course tweak this or set your own fan curve via the MSI Afterburner software. I ran all my tests and benchmarks with this default fan curve however, and the card idled at 38 degrees Celsius and peaked at 72 degrees Celsius, which are pretty reasonable temperatures, and obviously if you tweak the fan curve you'll be able to lower the temperatures even further. There's several RGB lighting zones along the top and bottom of the card, along with the MSI GeForce RTX logo on top, which will look great in either a horizontal or vertical mount in your PC. You can customize the effects and sync the RGB lighting up to your other RGB components and peripherals via the MSI Mystic Light software. The brushed metal effect on the backplate of the card is really nice and really helps to make the card feel even more solid than it already is. Overall, I think the card's design, look and feel is great. I can't really fault it. Spec-wise, the MSI RTX 2080 Ti Gaming X Trio features 4,352 CUDA cores. That's 768 more than the 1080 Ti. MSI offer several profiles for the core and memory clock speeds. During the whole of my testing with the 2080 Ti, I ran using the overclock profile, which gave a core clock speed of 1,770 MHz with a boost to 1,967 MHz, although I did see it push past this while gaming up to a peak of 1,995 MHz. So with some manual overclocking, you should be easily able to push this above 2 GHz on the core clock boost. Memory clock speed was 1,785 MHz on the overclock profile, and of course the card comes with a total of 11 GB of GDDR6 VRAM. Right, enough with specs and looking at the card, let's see how it runs on the Total War benchmarks plus Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed compared to the 1080 Ti. I ran the benchmarks on 3 different resolutions: 2560 by 1440, 3440 by 1440, and 3620 by 2036 via Nvidia's DSR, their dynamic super resolution, to get as close to 4K as possible, as I don't have a native 4K display to test on, but the 3620 by 2036 should still give a good indication as to how the 2080 Ti will perform at 4K. For some reason the Nvidia DSR wouldn't work for Thrones of Britannia or Shadow of the Tomb Raider when I tried testing the 2080 Ti, so those results are missing from these tests. So without further ado, let's take a look at the benchmarks.
Varus! Oh! Quintilis Varus! Give me back my legions! You are walking into a trap, Varus. The German will betray you. He will betray Rome.
Arminius, a traitor? I think not.
Rome may have raised me, trained me, but my loyalty is to my people!
The walls are breached!
Estaré aquí toda la noche.
¡Hey! ¡Cuidado, niños! Second warning, there won't be a third.
So there we have it. No surprise that Total War ATTILA still runs like arse, no matter what graphics card you throw at it. The supposed future hardware that Creative Assembly optimized that game for still isn't here, even with the 2080 Ti it would seem. I've taken an average of all the benchmark results between the two graphics cards, and here you can see the percentage increase in FPS from the 1080 Ti to the 2080 Ti. While Rome 2, ATTILA and Thrones of Britannia only have a 7 to 13% FPS increase on the 2080 Ti over the 1080 Ti, it's the Warhammer 2, Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed benchmarks which really show the true potential of the 2080 Ti. These three games clearly make better use of the raw power, extra cores, and high clock speed of the 2080 Ti over the 1080 Ti. In Warhammer 2's case, we can see how far Creative Assembly have come optimizing the most recent Total War games compared to Rome 2 and ATTILA. Thrones shows some reasonable improvement over ATTILA, which its game engine is based off. However, it's the 29% average increase in FPS for the 2080 Ti over the 1080 Ti in Warhammer 2 that really impresses me here. At 4K, or as close as I could get to it in my test with a resolution of 3620 by 2036, Warhammer 2 still ran above 60 FPS on the Ultra graphics preset on Ultra unit size, which is very impressive. It'll be very interesting to see how Total War 3 Kingdoms runs on the 2080 Ti if I can get my hands on one to test it with when the game releases next year. 17% average increase in Shadow of the Tomb Raider is alright, and it'll be interesting to see what impact the ray tracing enabling patch has on performance when that's eventually released as well. As for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, a 26.5% FPS average increase on the 2080 Ti over the 1080 Ti took it from sub 60 FPS at 1440p and ultra-wide, 3440 by 1440, to well over 60 FPS in my benchmarks, only 4K beating it with a result of 54 FPS. However, this was on the ultra-high preset, and a small tweak to shadows or volumetric clouds will bump it above 60 FPS again. Overall, I'm pretty happy with those results. Obviously, with some tweaking of the settings, you'll be able to increase FPS even further with the 2080 Ti, while still maintaining near maximum graphic settings and hit that 60 FPS plus sweet spot, even at 4K for most games. Price-wise, it's as massive as the card itself. Depending on where you look, the MSI RTX 2080 Ti Gaming X Trio retails between £1,199 to £1,399. It's a crazy amount to spend on a GPU, that's for sure. Whole gaming systems can cost the same amount or less and offer a decent 1080p or even 1440p gaming experience. However, realistically, the 2080 Ti isn't for 1080p or 1440p gaming. You're definitely doing it wrong if you buy this card for 1080p gaming. It'll likely bottleneck for a start. This card is meant for 4K and ultra-wide resolutions, and from the benchmark results, it certainly hits that mark. Take the 36 FPS increase at 4K on Warhammer 2 compared to the 1080 Ti, for example. This is not a card aimed at the budget-friendly gamer at all. Compared to the price of the 1080 Ti, it is double the price for, in my test at maximum, a 36% performance increase. Is that worth the cost? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Is anyone planning on getting a 2080 Ti? Has anyone already got one? Let me know your thoughts. Big thanks to MSI for allowing me to have a play and test of the 2080 Ti Trio. Links to where you can find out more about the card and order one if you've got the money to spend are in the description down below. Until the next one, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Take pride in joining the Legion. Check out my affiliates and sponsors: Games Planet, Overclockers UK, QT, and MSI. Till the next one, ciao for now.